on perfect wisdom, with the divisions of the Abhisammayalamkara. Translated by Edward Conze. University of California Press, Berkeley, Los Angeles, London. Translation of the Sutra. Chapter 34, Glorification of the Virtues of Consummation. Glorification of the marks of consummation. Its own being. Sariputra. The perfection of wisdom gives light, O Lord, she is worthy of homage. I pay homage to the perfection of wisdom. She is unstained. She removes the darkness from everyone in the triple world. She does her utmost to bring about the forsaking of the blinding darkness caused by the defilements and by false views. She makes us seek the safety of all the dharmas which act as wings to enlightenment. She brings light so that all fear, terror, and distress may be forsaken. She shows the path to beings so that they may acquire the 5 organs of vision. To beings who have strayed onto the wrong road, she brings about the knowledge of all modes through the avoidance of the 2 extremes. On account of the forsaking of all the defilements together with their residues. The perfection of wisdom is the mother of the bodhisattvas, the great beings, on account of her generation of the Buddha dharmas. She is neither produced nor stopped, on account of the emptiness of own marks. She liberates from birth and death because she is not unmoved nor destroyed. She protects the unprotected, on account of her being the donor of all dharmas. She brings about the 10 powers of a Buddhist because she cannot be crushed. She sets in motion the wheel of dharma with its 3 revolutions and its 12 aspects on account of its being neither turned forward nor backward. The perfection of wisdom shows forth the own being of all dharmas, on account of the emptiness of the non-existence of own being. Its excellence. How, O Lord, should one stand in the perfection of wisdom? The Lord. As in the teacher, so should one stand in the perfection of wisdom. As one should pay homage to the teacher, so also to the perfection of wisdom. And why? For just this perfection of wisdom is the teacher. The teacher is not one thing, and the perfection of wisdom another. Just the teacher is the perfection of wisdom, just the perfection of wisdom is the teacher. For from this perfection of wisdom all Tathagatas come forth, and also all Bodhisattvas, great beings, all Pratyeka Buddhas, Arhats, never returners, once returners, and stream winners. From it have come forth the 10 wholesome ways of acting, too. The Buddha dharmas and the knowledge of all modes. Thereupon it occurred to Sakra, chief of gods. Where from, and for what reason, has this question of the Ven Sariputra arisen? The Ven Sariputra read Sakra's thoughts and replied. This question has arisen for the reason that it has been said that taken hold of by the perfection of wisdom the Bodhisattvas, the great beings, through skill and means dedicate to the knowledge of all modes all the wholesome roots of the Buddhas and lords of the past, future, and present, in the interval beginning with the first thought of enlightenment, up to their full knowledge of the supreme enlightenment, up to the abiding of the good dharma. This perfection of wisdom of the Bodhisattvas surpasses their perfection of giving, too. Their perfection of meditation. Just as Kasaka, people born blind, 1,000, or 100,000 of them, cannot without a leader go along a road and much less enter into a city. Just so, Kasaka, without an eye the 5 perfections are as if born blind. Without the perfection of wisdom they are unable to ascend the path to enlightenment, and still less can they enter into the city of the knowledge of all modes. When, however, the 5 perfections have been taken hold of by the perfection of wisdom, then they acquire an organ of vision, and, taken hold of by the perfection of wisdom, these 5 perfections deserve to be called perfections. Sakra. As the Reverend Sariputra has said, taken hold of by the perfection of wisdom, the 5 perfections deserve to be called perfections. But they do not deserve to be called perfections, because they are taken hold of by the perfection of giving, too. The perfection of meditation? Sariputra. So it is, Kasaka, so it is. Therefore, then, this perfection of wisdom has been proclaimed as superior to the other 5 perfections. The non-affecting of all dharmas. Sariputra. How should, O Lord, the perfection of wisdom be consummated? The Lord. Through the non-consummation of form, too. The Buddha dharmas. through the non-consummation of all dharmas, 2. Through the non-consummation of the knowledge of all modes. Sariputra. How should from the non-consummation of form, 2. Of the knowledge of all modes the perfection of wisdom be consummated? The Lord. The perfection of wisdom should be consummated from the non-bringing about of form, 2. The knowledge of all modes from their non-production, non-stopping, non-existence, no birth, non-destruction, and from their baselessness. The procuring of reunion by not taking all dharmas as a basis. Sariputra. What dharma does the perfection of wisdom procure when consummated in such a way? The Lord. None whatsoever. That is why it is styled perfection of wisdom. Sariputra. What dharma does it not procure? The Lord. No dharma which is wholesome or unwholesome, faulty or faultless, with or without outflows, conditioned or unconditioned, defile or purified, belong to samsara or to nirvana. And why? Because the perfection of wisdom has not been set up for the sake of providing a basis. For that reason it procures no dharma. Sakra. Then, O Lord, does this perfection of wisdom not even procure the knowledge of all modes? The Lord. The perfection of wisdom does not procure or apprehend any dharma, and therefore also not the knowledge of all modes. Sakra. How then, O Lord, does the perfection of wisdom not procure or apprehend the knowledge of all modes? The Lord. The perfection of wisdom does not procure or apprehend any dharma, and therefore also not the knowledge of all modes. Sakra. How then, O Lord, does the perfection of wisdom not procure or apprehend the knowledge of all modes? The Lord. The perfection of wisdom does not procure it as if it were a mental process, a sign, or a volitional act. Sakra. How then, again, does it procure? The Lord. To the extent that one does not approach anything, does not grasp at anything, does not take one's stand on anything, does not forsake anything, does not settle down in anything, to that extent one procures. To the extent that one does not procure any dharma, does not set it free or acquire it. It is thus that one does not procure all dharmas, does not set them free, does not acquire them. Sakra. It is wonderful, O Lord, to see the extent to which this perfection of wisdom has been set up for the non-production of all dharmas, for their non-stopping, their non-affecting, their non-apprehension, and their non-destruction. Subhuti. If, O Lord, the Bodhisattva who courses in perfect wisdom should perceive that the perfection of wisdom does not procure all dharmas, then he will treat the perfection of wisdom as worthless and keep far away from it. The Lord. There is some way in which the Bodhisattva may treat the perfection of wisdom as worthless and keep away from it. If the Bodhisattva, coursing in the perfection of wisdom, perceives that this perfection of wisdom is worthless, insignificant, unsubstantial and void, then he will treat it as worthless and move far away from it. Subhuti. Which dharmas become restored when the perfection of wisdom has been restored? The Lord. Not form, 2. Not the supreme enlightenment. Subhuti. How is it that when the perfection of wisdom has been restored no form, 2. No knowledge of all modes has been restored? The Lord. When form, 2. The knowledge of all modes are not apprehended, then the perfection of wisdom is restored. It is that which brings about the great aim. Subhuti. A great perfection is this perfection of wisdom, O Lord. The Lord. What do you think, Subhuti? In what manner is this perfection of wisdom a great perfection? Subhuti. There is nothing that it makes great or small, that it extends or contracts, that it strengthens or weakens. If, again, a Bodhisattva who has newly set out in this vehicle perceives because of the perfection of wisdom, 2. Because of the perfection of giving, that the perfection of wisdom makes nothing great or small, nor does it strengthen or weaken anything, that when he thus perceives, the Bodhisattva does not coerce in the perfection of wisdom. And why? Because that cannot be an outcome of the perfection of wisdom. It is not an outcome of the perfection of wisdom that form, 2. The Buddha dharmas are made large or small. And why? Because bodhisattvas do not perceive a basis. Thus the perfection of wisdom should be seen from the no-birth of form, too. The Buddha should the no-birth of the perfection of wisdom be seen. One should see that the perfection of wisdom has no own being, because beings, as well as form, too. The Buddhas have no own being. One should know the non-existence of the perfection of wisdom, its emptiness, signlessness, and wishlessness from the fact that beings as well as form, too. The Buddhas are non-existent, empty, signless, and wishless. One should know the non-beingness of the perfection of wisdom, its unthinkability and indestructibility from the fact that beings are non-beings, unthinkable, and indestructible. One should know that the perfection of wisdom does not actually undergo the process which leads to enlightenment, because beings do not, nor does form do so. One should know that the perfection of wisdom is not endowed with the powers, because beings are not endowed with the powers, and because form do. The Buddhas are not endowed with the powers. In this manner also is the perfection of wisdom a great perfection for the Bodhisattvas, the great beings. End chapter 34.